Welcome to the first Film Fantastic show, where you learn everything about the latest in film-related content, whether it's media, cameras, post-production. Recently, we went through a revolution in post-production to the extent that things like AI and machine learning improved our workflow so much we're seeing about a 25% improvement in our workflow. But first, I want to introduce you to Adrian. Adrian is our head of production. Welcome, dude.
Thanks for the introduction, Jacobus.
You might not guess this, but Adrian is actually a major in philosophy, right? So how on earth are you now a filmmaker?
Well, I think philosophy and filmmaking have a lot of touch points. The best way to learn in philosophy is through stories, and filmmaking tells pretty great stories. I think that's universally known. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been millions and millions spent on making stories. So I think there's a lot you can learn from both mediums. So yeah, I think it's a perfect fit.
Totally. Listen, I don't even know if I told you this, but my very first editing computer, I blew up, and so
as you do.
Oh no, dude, I was so sad. I saved in high school a little bit of money into stock, and I got that stock when I went to study as a student. And a cousin of a cousin said he could get like a better system for cheaper. So they built up the system, and I'm booting up the system, and this is amazing. I see everything's working, but I realized, it doesn't seem like the correct chip that's inside, right?
Yeah.
So I open up the box, take the CPU out of the motherboard to double check, and I put it back, kind of like it doesn't fit as well as it did when it came out.
Snug.
And I put it back, and I was like, that should be fine. I put it on, and everything fried. So I can't even prove to the dude that gave me the wrong chip that is the wrong chip. The entire thing is dead. And I had to call my dad to explain to him that my first study computer that I was supposed to use for video editing as well is dead. And luckily my dad saved us. But that was my first editing experience.
Was it like a big explosion?
No,
just
like the motherboard, like everything like popped inside.
Yeah.
And there was like acid dripping outside, and
nice.
just like the floor was wet. So it was a horrendous experience.
Sounds like the start of a CGI horror movie.
And so finally I got the new computer, moved from Intel to AMD, and downloaded the editing software. Adobe was just too expensive, so we had alternative ways to download the software, but that's also how we learned. That's how we learned to get that done. But moving from that, where the original footage was very straightforward and basic, moving now to a place where we are using and integrating machine learning on artificial intelligence into the software that we are using today, getting almost daily updates. Adrian, what are some of the highlights that you've been experiencing? I'm talking months, in the past months, not even the years, because it's been rapid growth that has improved your post-production workflow to the extent that you're like, geez, this is mind-boggling.
Well, it is quite scary at the same time as well. But it's also eye-opening to see that in the next few years, we will be able to speed up our workflows just using machine learning, not necessarily AI, which I definitely think there is a place for still, but just with my own editing. And this is more machine learning, but Adobe brought out their text-based editing, which, if you'll remember, we've been talking about this for years. Like, how amazing would it be if you can just see your text and you can edit a panel discussion or an interview like you're editing a Word document. And we used it recently, and it's amazing. Obviously, there's still a few bugs, but just in terms of being able to see your entire project very holistically, and you already know what they are saying, and you can decide, is this relevant? So that speeds up your process so fast, and you can literally copy the text and just paste it in a new sequence or in a different place of the sequence. So for me, that was really amazing. And it's not even, I won't say it's AI generated, but in terms of practicality, it's amazing. I think it's something that I could have done a lot earlier. I don't think the mechanics of it is that complicated. But for us as editors, that just changes everything.
Now, offices are based in Cape Town, South Africa, and South Africa offers an incredibly diverse range of people with accents in English. Now, this specifically works just in English, and I'm always surprised by how accurate it still seems to interpret language. Now, this is ideal for in our field where we do long corporates, right? And we have to cut down that into a highlight video. Even weddings. I just realized that the groom speeches and all those kind of things can be such an easier cut down for the highlight video, correct?
Yeah, no, if you just, obviously the groom is he's gonna have to thank everyone, but you're not sure where that starts and where that ends. Just looking at your waveforms. If you take that into text-based editing into Adobe, then you have it there in front of you. You can just, nobody wants to use the thank yous again. So you can just take that and delete that. Even with just being able to remove pauses out of the text, it's amazing. No, it really is a game changer. I feel like they could have done it a lot earlier, but I'm not worried now that it's here.
Yeah. So we've recently started using Midjourney as well, correct? So moving now from text-based to visual elements, we started using Midjourney and exploring what Midjourney can offer filmmakers. What intrigued me, you're welcome to mention some examples, but what did intrigue me though is that originally we have to buy a very strong computer system, an editing suite, upgrade to a new chip system, whatever. But now we're starting to see where processing is actually being decentralized onto a server somewhere, and we're getting the footage back after it's already been processed.
That's amazing. And the thing is, what I've seen from the creations that they used Midjourney, there's such a vast variety of websites online that you can use for free, which you said is decentralized. I saw a guy making a video straight from, he used Midjourney images, took it to another website to create voices for his characters, then to another website to animate the photos, the Midjourney images, so that these characters could actually speak. And he used like maybe 6 different websites, but still he's able to produce a video that boggles the mind. So yeah, I really think that it is moving in that direction, which is amazing. And it's also just a reminder that the internet is so vast, and we tend to use only a few of them, few websites. We tend to use like our social media and whatever, but there's really innovation there. And if you're creative, you can combine a bunch of stuff and come out with something completely unique.
I mean, you're talking about voices, right? And we recently started exploring with Altered AI. So Altered AI is a system that can literally transform your voice into sounding either female or a deep, rasp male voice, and even accents to either British or American. And so, I don't know if you remember this, but we had a client that we just felt this specific marketing video that they had wasn't really a text thing, right? It felt like a voiceover. And so to really convince them that this was more of a voiceover video, we recorded my voice and added a deep, almost raspy voice in AI over my voice to let them think it was. We actually didn't share with them at all that we were doing this, by the way. We just did it, and we got approval right away. Remember, it was, we were amazed, and we did eventually tell them that is what we did, and they were just amazed as we were, totally. So we're starting to see how even the process, we're talking about time saving, correct? We're talking about better and effective management of our time, and our normal process is getting approval, using my voice as a dummy voice, getting a professional voiceover artist, do a recording, bring that back, and only then editing it in. But now we just take it into the system and replace my voice. It saves us hours to do so, as in costs as well.
Okay, isn't it also possible just to enter the text and it'll give you a voice? So you don't even need a dummy voice. Or
correct. But I think what is important though is AI is still not as emotive as
Yeah,
humans. And
very
so
true.
you can at mass do marketing things where you
Mm.
type it and the voice will say it, but it will not always have that perfect
Yeah,
inflection.
that
And
you
we as
want.
humans are so sensitive to the small human elements. And
Definitely.
so for that reason, I would say there's definitely a purpose for that and a tool for mass production. But in this scenario where we need to make one small, very impactful commercial,
Yeah.
it's important to still have that human element
Yeah, no,
to
definitely.
drive that message. We have so many tools; it almost feels overwhelming to be an editor. So it can go either one way, where you just say, "Okay, machine, you do everything,"
Mm.
and you'll get an average product, or it'll be fine. But what skills do you think should editors rather have now, and grow into, to not be left out, but focus on?
Yeah, well, I think the practical things is be a eager learner and always keep on learning, because with editing, since I've started, it's never stayed the same. It's always changing. So being able to adapt, that's a must-have skill in my opinion. But then more on an abstract side, you must be able to create a style, the style that you're looking for. You must there must be a soul in your edit, and I can see when I edit just to get something done, and when I actually take the time and think about it, and you can see the difference immediately, and you can see there's emotion in the video itself. And in my opinion, AI just makes that easier. Or whatever tool you are using, it should make that process easier of getting your vision out there. And now with stuff like Midjourney or whatever, you can copy and paste aesthetics.
Okay.
You know, what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can, and I think it only enables you. So for editors coming up, I really just suggest spending time with the tools. And the thing is, editing is fun. Editing is creating. There's nothing like just getting that perfect cut and watching it over and over and over again, because there's something about that, you just put it together correctly.
Right.
So that's a fun thing about the time we are living in. It's going to become a lot more fun. It is fun at the moment. You can really go crazy and just play. And I'd say that's one of the best ways to learn is through playing with the tools. So yeah, I'm very excited. I see a lot of stuff every day that people are creating that make me excited.
Yeah.
I think even podcast editing can become a lot more fun.
You're talking about podcast editing, which is obviously a long form editing and takes quite a lot of time. And so now with Autopod, even this podcast is being rapidly edited down and quickly to get it out on the internet and start going live. The thing is, podcasts are becoming much more in time relevant. Cutting them down does take time. It does take time and love. But if you get the assistance of something that rapidly cuts it down and you basically view and tinker from there, it saves you so much time. And so we look forward to seeing the results on this. And you are watching the results of this in action and playing it out. So where do you see editing going from here? We're getting updates the whole time. Is a human editor even going to be relevant in a few months?
I think human editors will always be relevant. In terms of just humans are different. We've seen how crazy we are. We like humans are very interesting, and expecting a machine to get those interesting creative edits, I just don't ever see that happening. Because even if you just look at movies that you love, the editing in those it's not necessarily the most effective, but it's the most effective in bringing over emotion, and that's what you want. So I think human editors will always be able to see which shots will bring the most emotion to the screen, which sequence of shots will work the best. And I don't think that's even something that can be trained. It's something you feel as well.
Right.
Obviously, you need to know the rules to know how to break them.
Correct.
But real interesting editing, that's a human thing.
Yeah.
I think that will always be a human thing.
Look, we're going to share much more on Filmworx Fantastic. So be sure to subscribe and be part of the journey of this growing incredible industry.